Hello and welcome to Iraq News HQ, where we bring you the latest coverage of what's going on in Iraq. My name is Kevin Thacker. Thanks for joining us this morning. In politics, Iraq is currently holding their provincial elections. Iraqis are crowding to the polls in order to vote for their favorite candidates. Now, these elections may not seem too important, but they are actually quite significant. You see, this is the first election in Iraq since the withdrawal of U.S. troops. It will be a true test to see how well Iraqis will be able to handle security at elections, as violence is often an issue with Iraq's politics. Recent studies showed that approximately 70% of Iraqis watch satellite TV. There are hundreds of different radio stations and TV channels that Iraqis are able to watch and listen to. Most Iraqis hear about the news through television, as barely any of them own internet access at home. Another interesting fact is that over 80% of Iraqis own a cell phone. Another top story is that 16 people were recently killed in a series of attacks in Iraq. We now go over to Thacker, who has the latest on this story. He's live in Iraq. Kevan? Alright, Kevan Thacker reporting live from Iraq. Alright, well, like you said, Kevin, 16 people were killed in several different attacks in Iraq, and even more than that were critically wounded. Approximately 32 Iraqi citizens were badly injured in these attacks. The attacks themselves come in many different forms, such as suicide bombers, car bombs, grenade explosions, and sniper attacks. Most of the attacks occur in Sunni Anbar and Anbar provinces. Back to you in the studio, Kevin. Alright, thanks for that, Kevan. And now on to our next story. 10 television networks were recently ordered to be shut down by the Iraqi government. They were accused of being unethical while they were covering violence in northern Iraq. If these shows refuse to be taken off air, the Iraqi police will arrest anyone associated with the show, such as reporters and producers. They were accused of misleading coverage of fighting in the city of Hawija. During this fighting, dozens of demonstrators were killed by the Iraqi police. The Iraqi Table Tennis Association stated that Erbil Province will hold the first annual Table Tennis Premier League. This is the first year that the tournament has existed. It is basically a gathering of 18 teams, each representing one province in Iraq. These teams will play each other over the course of 3 days. Ping pong is huge in countries such as Iraq, so having a tournament like this involving the entire country is pretty big for them. Japan is currently arranging to provide Iraq with a loan for $3 billion. This large sum of money should be entirely repaid with interest in 40 years. Bakir al-Zubaydi, the former Iraqi Minister of Finance, discussed the agreement with the Japanese ambassador in Iraq. Zubaydi has already signed the loan, and it is now just waiting to be passed by the parliament. The main purposes of it is to assist Iraq in infrastructures, portable water, ports, and electricity. And the reason Japan is doing this for Iraq is because the two countries have a mutual cooperation. We now go back to Kavan Thackerson, who has the next story for us. Kavan, back to you. Alright, this is Kavan again. Well, in the city of Baghdad, 2 roadside bombs exploded and the results were deadly. The death toll is unknown for sure, but at least 5 people were killed and upwards of 30 were badly injured. The 2 bombs were placed outside of a mosque, and they exploded as Sunni Muslim worshippers were leaving after they finished their prayers. This is just another example of how tensions are rising in Iraq, and it goes to show just how many bombs there are there. Terrorism is a major problem in Iraq, and many terrorists pay for it with their lives. Recently, 12 men were executed when they were accused of acts of terrorism. Acts of terrorism can come in many different forms, such as kidnappings, assassinations, and bombings. Some cases of bombs attached to cars and motorcycles were also reported. Since 2005, there have been approximately 450 executions as a result of acts of terrorism. Sunnis in Iraq are currently protesting a new set of laws enforced by the United States. Most of these laws are designated for anti-terrorism, which these Sunnis are highly against. Their protests are becoming more and more violent, and they're putting in danger the lives of innocent people. The Sunnis just do not want to live by these laws of anti-terrorism, and they are fighting to get rid of them for good. So, we thank you for joining us today on Iraq News HQ. We'll see you next time.